My grandmother has dementia, and she's always angry with me.
Oh boy, sounds like a sad story, actually.
Trigger warning, this story is going to hurt you. So if you don't want that, then you need to not listen to this story. I'm going to try to explain this as well as possible. For my entire childhood, my grandma was a fantastic grandmother. She loved spending time with us grandkids, doing things with us, and just overall great. However, she has always been a difficult person in general. By the way, this comes from user Dementia Dilemma, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, my dad, her son, 50 male, always said that in her mind, she has the only correct worldview. Anyone who remotely disagrees is just wrong. So she has the worst point of view. Cool. She would cause fights with my mother, her daughter-in-law, over things, and just create family drama in general. All the same, we love her, and I have very fond memories of her. A few years ago, she was diagnosed with dementia. Over the years since, it's gotten much worse. Due to her now current confusion, which I understand is completely out of her control, she has become mean and hateful to the point that even my grandfather, her husband, 70 male, that takes care of her almost 24/7, has to take mini breaks from her. As a kid, I was the perfect grandchild. I was enthusiastic, hardworking, and did everything within my power not to disappoint any of my family. Even as a teenager, I visited them every couple of days, and in college, I visited and called routinely. I'm also the only granddaughter and the only grandkid to go to college. My cousins aren't dumb, they just chose different paths, which is awesome for them. And my grandparents did put a lot of pressure on me to be the shining star of the family, in their words. If my GPA was a 3.9 instead of a 4.0, they'd asked, "What brought you down?" My grandma always said she didn't have a favorite grandchild, but pretty much everyone in the family acknowledges that even if I wasn't a favorite, I was special. I'm not praising this or bragging, nor did I want to be more special than my cousins, but this is just for context. However, last year, I got really busy. School was way more intense. I had an internship that took up almost all of my after-school time and weekends. I didn't have any time to visit or call that much because I was busy from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. most days, and I don't have a car. Don't need one where I live, so I relied on my other family to drive if we scheduled something. I did call when I could, though. However, because I did all this less than I have in the past, my grandmother got angry with me. She put down all my pictures, told everyone how selfish I was, and all manner of things.
Oh,
very unfortunate. My parents and my grandfather and myself tried to kindly explain everything to her, but because of her condition, she didn't understand. I missed the Christmas family gathering because my family scheduled it on a day I had to do my internship, and it couldn't be changed. I visited my grandpa later on in December, and he said we weren't seeing grandma because she was having a bad day. I was there for Thanksgiving last year, and my grandmother refused to say a word to me, though she socialized with everyone else. I talked to her, but she ignored me, and that hurt. Pretty much any time I see her since has been like that. I've only gotten busier with work and school, and as a result, I've been more unable to visit my hometown. Because of having to organize rides, a lot of times planning stuff doesn't work out. If I had a car, I would absolutely be there as much as I could. And I try to call, but she doesn't want to talk to me. It gets more complicated because she remembers things incorrectly. She claims I haven't been there for holidays when I have, that I never call when I do, and that I never give her birthday or Christmas gifts, and all that stuff. If someone corrects her, she gets angry and asserts that she knows she's correct. My other cousins never go to see her unless it's a holiday, but she doesn't hate them for it. Even my dad moved across the country and almost never calls, and she's not mad at him. It all seems like the anger is directed at me. I've given up on trying to reason with her. That sounds mean, but she cannot really understand reason anymore. I'm not angry at her, as I know this isn't her fault in the least. I've accepted that she isn't the same person anymore. I want to spend as much time with her as I can before her condition worsens or she passes away. But she's so angry at me, and I don't even know if my efforts will help with her being confused and not remembering things. I feel tremendous guilt over this, like I've done something horrible. Maybe I didn't try hard enough before. Oh, that's not. Come on.
you haven't done anything wrong.
That's not what's going on here. I'm already doing all I can to schedule more visits, and I'm calling regularly, but it doesn't seem to be helping right now. How can I try to repair my relationship with my grandmother on some level? Maybe I didn't try hard enough. How do I make this right? And there's comments. Comment number 1 here says, she cannot really understand reason anymore. which also means that her anger is illogical and has nothing to do with what you have or have not done. You need to balance your understandable desire to spend whatever time she has remaining with her with the reality that not all of those interactions are going to be positive, and take care of yourself if it gets to be too much. Also, it's generally best not to argue with someone who has dementia. She complains that you didn't do something she's forgotten. Just say, "You're right, Grandma, I'm sorry, but I'm here now and I want to spend time with you." And see if that gets her on a different train of thought. And there is an update here. Hey, y'all. First off, I want to say thank you to everyone who replied and to those who read it and said prayers and sent good vibes and thoughts my way. I spent a lot of time reading every reply, and I checked this account and was really touched by a few private messages I got asking how everything was. The fact that people remembered the post written by some internet stranger tugged at my heartstrings. And now on to the update. I spent a lot of time considering what everyone had replied and the resources and experiences others shared. It made me feel a lot better and clear-headed about the situation. I realized that my emotions were weird and I didn't know how to sort it out. For example, I was angry about being ignored and disowned by her when I was doing my best, but I felt I didn't have a right to be angry because her condition is not her fault. I should also mention that my grandmother wasn't the nicest of people before dementia, and the only people who really care for her are her blood relatives. That sounds really harsh, but the rest of the family acknowledges this too. So with a mixed bag of emotions of grieving for my grandmother, being angry about her treatment of me, anxiety about facing her at holidays just to be yelled at, I was really conflicted about going to Thanksgiving. I talked to my dad, my grandma's son, my mom, and my long-term significant other about my feelings. They understood where I was coming from and encouraged me to go to Thanksgiving if I wanted to and if it felt right to me. They gave me some sound advice that reinforced advice I got on this sub. So my mom talked to my grandpa about something unrelated and then called to tell me that I was allowed to come to Thanksgiving on the condition that my grandmother gets to scold and lecture, the exact quote, me. They all knew I wasn't going to go for that at all. My grandfather, her husband, and I'm pretty sure he's a saint sent from some deity, called me asking if I'd be going to Thanksgiving. My grandpa is her number one caregiver and gave up a part-time job he loved, all of his activities, traveling, etc., to care for her. It's not always healthy for him, but he loves talking on the phone to people now more than ever. So I always make the time. That was a tangent. Sorry. I told him I wanted to go if the scheduling worked out. We were still working out plans with my significant other's family, and he just lit up over the phone, and I could practically hear him smiling. I could absolutely not say no to him, even if I wanted to. For context, the issue with me and my grandmother has been stressing my grandfather out too. He loves me dearly, of course, and felt like they were losing their relationship with me over this because my grandmother cannot be reasoned with. Me not just agreeing to go, but wanting to go was a big deal for him.
Aw.
He told me that he and my aunt were going to sit down and talk to my grandmother on how to treat me at the holiday. I told him not to do more than he had to because I felt that I could handle it if she did go off on me, but also to not stress him out if she could not be reasoned with. He was committed to it, so I trusted his judgment. He couldn't promise she wouldn't go off on me, but he told me he would do his best to diffuse the situation if she did. The weeks carried on, and I volunteered to make the mashed potatoes, and I saw my mom's side the day before Thanksgiving. Then I got a call from my grandmother, and I was expecting the worst. However, she was extraordinarily pleasant over the phone and just wanted to talk about the food. The next day, my significant other and I went to her side for Thanksgiving. I was really happy it worked out that he could go with me as it soothed my anxiety a little. That and a well-stocked wine cellar. I kept in mind all the advice on this sub that said deflect, 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 so that helped me keep my head on straight. My grandmother was surprisingly present. She just seemed happy that everyone was there. For context, not much of my family goes to see her, which was part of my anger. My cousins never see her, even though they own cars and live closer. I live further away and don't have a car. Yet, all her anger was focused at me when I made more time and effort than they did. My one cousin is studying a trade, and my grandmother did nothing but praise him and his accomplishments, which is well and good. She wasn't interested in me, my studies at the university, or goals. That stung a bit, as in the past, she always made a point to tell her she's proud of me, but this time it wasn't even so much as a pat on the back. I've sort of been the lovable black sheep for a while, so I'm kind of used to it, but I'm still a little hurt The rest of the celebration went on without incident, hugs and hellos, sharing memories, that kind of thing. I told her I'd do my best to be there for Christmas, mainly depends on scheduling. My grandpa was overjoyed that everyone was there, and that made it all especially worth it for me. It certainly went better than expected. I'm a little sad that it's not like how it used to be, and I felt a bit disconnected from her. She didn't pay much attention to me, but it wasn't like last year where she didn't say a word to me. At this point, I'll take what I can get and look forward to Christmas, as I like that holiday better than Thanksgiving anyway. A lot of people had ideas for gifts, and I decided I'll be using my craft skills to make her a custom Christmas ornament. I'm hoping that helps. I know that her dementia is only getting worse, but I'm still going to do my best. I'm also graduating this fall, and I don't know how she's going to be with that, considering she hasn't really been interested in hearing about me for a while. And by the way, you can hear full episodes with stories like this. All you have to do is go to iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts or Spotify and search OK Storytime, and you will find literally every story we've ever told. Again, I want to thank everyone for all their help and support, even the upvotes that helped my original post get more visibility. I felt like we made a big step forward in the right direction, so that's where I'm going to keep heading. I hope you all have lovely holidays, no matter your beliefs or customs, that are spent laughing and smiling with the people you love, whoever they are. And we have some comments. Comment number 1, don't take it personally. Really do not take anything she says or does personally. Read up on the stages of Alzheimer's and the different parts of the brain that get damaged with every stage. Try to take in the details. She has a terminal illness that is dismantling her brain. If you had a friend with MS who couldn't go running with you, would you take that personally? Reply, yeah, 100% this. My grandma had Alzheimer's, and sometimes she couldn't remember my name or who I was, and she didn't know anything about my studies or my life, and she sometimes got angry or sad for no reason. This is all because of her brain being confused. She wasn't the same person anymore. It doesn't mean that the person she used to be didn't love and care for me. Same goes for your grandma. Alzheimer's is weird because it's almost like you lose the person and grieve before they're gone. Maybe look into talking through that grief with a counselor at school or a self-help book. Relationships with people with dementia can become quite superficial due to their memory loss, inability to hold a conversation, etc. But with my grandma, I just tried my best to make her smile and make her happy and occupied when I was with her. That's all you can do. They might forget you were there as soon as you leave, but with my grandma, she'd still be happy after something good happened, even if she didn't know why. And sometimes there were moments when she seemed almost normal. You have to hold on to those. Definitely read up on Alzheimer's symptoms. I hope that helps you to feel like there is less of an attack on you. If that doesn't work, you might want to consider whether you take things personally in general and work on that issue. Comment number 2. One thing I did with my grandma who had dementia is I would leave her a little note telling her I was here and the date and put it on the wall. And I would put the next date I was coming to visit on it too. Comment number 3 says, this might be bad advice, especially since it seems like you don't have much free time, but have you considered writing her letters? It would give her something tangible to hold on and reread, and wouldn't be as easy for her to forget about as a phone call. You could send little care packages with a note and some pictures or trinkets to give her a more physical way to connect with you since you can't visit as often as you like. OP says, this is an idea. And I'll talk to my grandfather and I'll talk to my grandfather about it. She tends to prefer phone calls for the most part, for whatever reason. But she also really likes cute little cards and stuff. So that's something I was thinking about. I like crafts. That's something within my skill range. I like this idea a lot, especially the care packages. Thank you.
Oh.
And that is the end of that story.
Sad.